About 4 years ago, Reverend Jill Duffield, the editor of the Presbyterian Outlook magazine, wrote a little essay for the magazine on Ash Wednesday. She talked about being a pastor and scattering ashes after a funeral. She wrote about other ashes and experiences of Ash Wednesday in Lent. It's a beautiful essay that reflects on life and death and our basic humanity. She reminds us that we are creatures of dust who are beloved by God. The essay must have spurred an idea in an editor somewhere, or maybe being an editor, Reverend Duffield thought, this could be the beginning of a book. Even if you're not able to join our Zoom group on Thursdays, I invite you to buy the book or read excerpts of it online. You can find them easily with a search. We talked in our class about dust. In the creation story in Genesis 2, God forms a man from the dust of the ground, really the mud. Adam is Hebrew for mud man. God breathes life into the dirt, and filled with the literal breath of life, this mud statue becomes human. You know the rest of the story. The woman is formed from a part of the man, this living mud man. We talked a little about the animating spirit that God breathed in to them before the fall, before death and grief entered the picture, when we were beautifully and perfectly made. There are other Bible stories about dust, like Job grieving and ill, sitting in the dust in the ashes of a cold fire pit, experiencing the dark night of his soul. He lost everything except his relationship with God. We didn't talk enough about Job last week. I wish we had. Dark night of the soul. If ever America's gone through dark, soul-searching times, it's now. I've been interim associate pastor at First Presbyterian almost a year, and what a year it's been. A number of deaths, members who've died of old age or cancer or other illnesses. We've lost several members to COVID-19, but we've never gathered in the sanctuary and grieved. No funerals there. We've had graveside services, a memorial service in the fellowship hall. It's been hard for each family and for us as a church family to gather and grieve. Job sat alone in the dust and cried out to God, and now my soul is poured out within me. Days of affliction have taken hold of me. You ever felt like that? I've felt like that. Like grief would never end. I heard something on the radio. I don't know who said it. There will come a day, I promise you, when the thought of your loved one brings a smile to your lips before it brings a tear to your eye. I need to find out who said that. Maybe I'm misquoting it or misremembering it. The thought of your loved one will bring a smile before it brings a tear. I like that. We've had a lot of tears this year. Our nation, our world have had a lot of grief, all the deaths and the disruption. I want to gather with you and worship God in the same place. I want to have church suppers and laugh with you at funny programs and clap when we hear great musicians from our community or Russia or somewhere else. I want to hear children sing and giggle. I miss those normal functions of being a church together. So we grieve many losses. That's one of the things Lent is about. More prayer, more opportunity to tell God what's on our mind, what we're upset about or afraid of. There's much more to Ash Wednesday and Lent than confessing our sins. The dust of Lent gives voice to our grief and brings us to Bible stories of Job and Hannah and others who have wept bitter tears. Now, this coming week in the Bible story, we'll talk about bread in the study. We'll talk bread in the wilderness, communion bread, daily bread. It's a happier subject. I'll be back next week to talk about that chapter. See you then. I'm Walk, and these were my Wednesday words.